reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
So I'm here at the Trion booth with Hal Hanlin, and we are going to talk a little bit about some Rift. So Hal, can you tell us a little bit about what you do at Trion Worlds with Rift, and talk a little bit about the game?
Love to. Okay, my name's Hal Hanlin. I'm the design producer on Rift. I'm responsible currently for all of the live content that's going into our game and that's in our game currently. We have, in the past 6 months, put out 4 major content releases, and we're about to release our 5th in just a couple of weeks. And the 5th content release is called Ashes of History. What this is yet one more time where we've heard our community, they've asked for certain things, and we found ways to fulfill those needs. So, one of the community requests has been for harder challenges for our dungeon runners. So what we are introducing with 1.5 Ashes of History is the ability to do master mode dungeons. So if you have a pre-configured team and you are experts at what you do, this is going to be something that will tax you, that will absolutely put you to your paces, and if you execute it well, you'll be rewarded well. We also have heard from our PvPers that they'd like more war fronts, so we're introducing a new war front, takes place inside Hammernell. As those who have been playing are aware, we've introduced the idea of alternate mode war fronts, which is where we take an existing map and we introduce brand new content to it, and you have a new challenge inside there. And then, of course, we're listening to the solo and duo players. We've done so much for our raiders and our endgame, more elite players. We have a lot of solo and duo players who are like, what about me? Well, in the not distant future, not for 1.5, but just over the horizon, we're introducing something called Instant Adventure, which is for the more casual player to basically press a button, be joined into a large group, and have a quest for that group, that when you're completed, you get another quest, and another, and another, and it's like eating popcorn. I was playing for what I thought was 5 minutes, and it turned out it was a half an hour. And if a jaded developer on this game can lose my time, I guarantee this is fun stuff. And the last major thing that we're doing in the 1.5 Ashes of History expansion is Chronicles, which are 1- and 2-person dungeons that take place inside our raids. And this is so that players who might not otherwise see some of the best art in our game get a chance to go in. But we didn't dumb down the content of the existing raid. We wrote new content and let it tell additional story.
Well, let's take a look.
So we're here in Hammernell Fortress. However, you'll notice I'm not standing here with 19 of my closest friends. This is a chronicle. In Ashes of History, which is our next content release, we are actually introducing the notion of 1- and 2-person dungeons that take place inside some of our raids. So players like myself, I don't raid because I don't have the time to invest in it, and I can't ask a raiding group to actually wait for me to catch up. So instead, this will let solo and duo players get in, have about a half an hour more casual experience, and get to see some of the best locations in our game, and that's what we're doing. But I want to emphasize this is not a dumbed down version of Hammernell. This is actually a different time slice in the history of Hammernell. You're back before the raiders ever showed up, and what you're seeing is kind of the setup to what the raiders get to, and you see how the world kind of got into this situation. So you start off, you talk to these guys, he asks you what you want to do, and you trundle off. Work in progress, internal ambush. So this is all part of our, we're in the process of debugging this, and you start playing, and you can see that if I were actually paying attention and doing my rotation well, I would probably be able to handle this encounter. As it is, it's entirely possible that I'm going to die ignominiously. And so I'm going to cheat because I'm a GM and I get to do that. All right, so one of the things that we wanted to do is let people see this really fun encounter, but we also didn't want to have it be so nerfed down that it felt silly. So we put a lot of NPCs in here to help you, and that actually makes it possible for solo and duo players to get through here. In other areas, we do things like put in crystals or other objects that you can touch that will maybe buff you up or that will heal you up. And basically in that way, we give you some of the things that a raid would have provided you with if you had other people backing you up. As you see, it's broken into discrete encounters where you can have 1 or 2 enemies, and usually it's a pull of about 3. If I had a healer on me, we would just mow through this because I have decent equipment. It's not the greatest in the world. But then you'll notice there are some elites. So these are actually dangerous, and you have to take your time. We don't let you face roll through this content. It is about a half an hour encounter, so I'm not going to be able to show the entire thing. But what I can do is go invisible for a moment and just run right through the middle of them so I can say, hey, look, combat, combat. You got an elite flanked by his trash mobs. You have more trash down here. You have an amazing number of pulls that you can do. If you're clever about it, you can pull solos, you can pull a couple, and then if you're not careful, you're going to pull 5 or 6 and you're going to die. But players will get to encounter Merdantix. Now the raiders get to actually kill him directly. The players are going to participate with NPCs to constrain him and to eliminate the spawn of Merdantix to prevent just a whole horde of these things from tearing up our world. So this is an older version. Some of the animations, because this is about a week and a half out of date because we patched it up for PAX. But when we finally ship, you'll be able to pull these puzzle or do the pull puzzle, take apart this encounter, and progress on and learn about the history of Prince Dolan and King Molinar and how they got twisted and deranged. And you learn more about the history of the runes magic that was used in Hammernell. And it's a great opportunity for 1 or 2 players to learn more about our game, get good on-ramp equipment for the equipment progression, or if you're a raider and already have great equipment, just to understand more about what our world went through to get to where we are now.
What level is the gear going to be in these instances?
Tier 1. It's a good on-ramp thing for a player or 2 players to come in and start getting ready to gear up for dungeons.
And is this going to be strictly level 50?
Yes, at the moment we're doing it just level 50 because we want to make sure that we're beefing up the end game and continue to address the needs of those users. In the fullness of time, the same technology that we're using to do this safely, we can also consider doing some earlier progression dungeons. We want to make sure that we're addressing the needs of our players before we plan too much. As we've proven, we're very responsive. This is a response to some outcry from our players. If it works, great, we'll go wide with it. If it's something that only a few people are interested in, this might be where we stop. We're ready to do what the players need us to do.
Now, I remember when Waves of Madness came out, in one of the interviews that was done somewhere, it was mentioned, this is something that tweaked the mount collector in me's heart, that the Waves of Madness mount may be available through Chronicles of Talara. Is that still the case?
Yes, so what we are doing, one of the incentives to go into these Chronicles is that some of the collections that were started and some people were unable to complete during some of the world events, we're opening up the opportunity to get them in here and complete them. So it's another reason to come in here, yeah.
I think I'm done with PAX now. That's really all I wanted to hear. So it looks fantastic. It's great to be able to allow players who aren't necessarily, like you said, not necessarily raiding, to get a chance to get into Hammernell and see the look of the place.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because everybody knows that Talara is beautiful in and of itself, but not everybody who is not a raider understands how much beautiful art our world contains. This is a single room in Hammernell. Just one room, and it's the entry room in Hammernell. It's beautiful, but as you progress on, there's even more amazing stuff inside.
Thanks so much, Hal, for showing us that. That looks fantastic. Now, when you get in game recently, what's the thing that you do most recently? You talked about instant adventure earlier, but you know, what do you like to do? What's the content right now that you're going through?
Okay, so right now we have a whole bunch of events that are allowing me to currently level up a tortoise mount that I'm working toward, but I'm also running around doing something new we introduced with 1.4, which was our PvP rifts. And I find my nights going away because I jump from PvP rift to PvP rift, and I'm not even a PvPer. It's just, it's fun to be able to be with a group that has this directed requirement and then have the other team ambush me as I'm running around the corner. We work together, tactical situations. Oh, it's just a lot of fun.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time, and can't wait to see all this great content coming out.